Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
This is a bonus episode. What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience episode number 218. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Sheer and Shine, the UK's first Black-owned grooming brand for Black men. The brand has already been featured in major publications such as BuzzFeed UK, Telegraph Men, Black Beauty Mag, and The Voice News. It has appeared on stations such as London Live and SBTV. Our guest is founder of Sheer and Shine. Welcome, Aaron Wallace.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
It is my pleasure. Listen, why don't you fill in the gaps, share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your business.
So firstly, we are no longer called Sheer and Shine. We actually rebranded everything last year. So we now go by the name of By Aaron Wallace. So Sheer and Shine is how we originally launched. And to just give you a bit of background on myself, so I began as a barber and I was working in Southeast London, just cutting hair. And through speaking with my clients every day, I had very similar conversations with them. So a lot of the time they would ask questions about how do I grow a fuller beard, or how do I slow down my receding hair, and a lot of questions to do with their grooming. And I felt that there wasn't any companies that were serving those needs at the time. And that was how I originally, at the time, the Barber Shop was called Sheer and Shine Barber Shop. So we originally launched the brand as Sheer and Shine, and we was running as Sheer and Shine in the beginning. And as you mentioned, things was going pretty well. We was getting featured in BuzzFeed and getting a lot of attention. And eventually we was able to raise some investment. And then during that time, we actually transitioned. So we was redeveloping the website. We were redeveloping all of the formulations. We basically rebuilt everything from the ground up. And it was at that time that we felt that, we've basically redone everything. So we should rebrand and relaunch under a new name. And that was when we changed the name over to By Aaron Wallace Grooming.
Now, do you still have the barber shop?
No, so I decided not to discontinue the barbershop itself, primarily because, well, there was two reasons. The main reason was that with launching the product range, it was a monumentous task, so to speak. Like, there was a lot that needed to go into it. So it took a lot of my time, and I wasn't able to physically be in the barbershop every day cutting hair, because by the time I was finishing like a 12-hour day, I just didn't have any energy left to do anything else. So that was the main reason why. So I decided to put all of my focus and all of my energy into getting the products where they needed to be.
Talk about developing the products.
The way we went about developing the products was, first we kind of, like I said, I was having daily conversations with Black men. So of course I'm asking questions, they're asking me questions, and I'm trying to figure out what are the solutions to the problems that they're having and what are the common denominators with the problems that they're having. So I kind of come to the realization that a lot of the issues that Black men were facing, one of the primary causes was dryness. So if the hair was really dry, it was causing, the hair not to lay properly, which was causing the patchy beards, the dry hair, which was causing the breakage, which was also adding to the early receding hair, and the breakage and the dandruff. So I thought that when we began looking into the products development, I really wanted to focus on what do we need to do to create healthy Afro hair. So what are the key components that we need to have in this product that will leave the customer with healthy Afro hair? So that was kind of the problem that we circled and said, this is the problem. How do we go about finding a solution to this problem? And so then we looked into researching different ingredients and that are good at maintaining moisture and keeping moisture in the hair. And the two that really stuck out to me was flaxseed oil and mango butter. So mango butter is really good because it contains lots of lipids and it keeps a lot of the moisture in the hair. And flaxseed oil is just like one of those mythical ingredients because it has so many uses. It can be used internally, externally, for your hair, for your skin, for your overall health. It just has so many benefits. So I said, okay, we had the problem, and then we said, okay, these ingredients will provide the solution to that problem. And then we went about working with manufacturers, testing different products, having focus groups with Black men, getting their feedback on the products, and just testing and testing until we reached a modification that we was happy with. That was like, okay, this is good to go. And of course, I was the guinea pig as well in the early stages. I was testing everything on my hair and my beard as well.
So, Aaron, on your product, are you focusing only on Black men when you were talking about natural hair or Afro hair, or is your products for men and women?
So we are primarily focused on Black men. The reason for that is, like I said, my origin as a barber was mostly through conversations with Black men. So I wanted to really address those issues first. And for us in the UK especially, at the time, when I was having these conversations, it would always lead to, okay, so what should I be doing? What should I be using on my hair and on my beard? And in the UK, it was very difficult to find these Afro hair shops in the first place because they're not common. So it was a bit of a treasure hunt to send a guy to find the shop in the first place. And then once he found the shop, it was another treasure hunt to then find products for men. So most of the larger companies at the time were catering to Black women, obviously because Black women have always been more conscious about their hair and grooming. So a lot of the shops you would find that when men would go in there, they would have to, once they've found the shop, they would have to then navigate through the aisles of all of the female products to then find a small shelf at the back that has a small selection of a few products from the US that was targeted at men. So it was so I thought, this is the need that I really want to service. So when we're doing our product development and we're designing our range, we've always got Black men at the forefront, and what are the grooming needs of Black men at the forefront of our product development.
And talk about the science or the mixture. How did you come about mixing all the products? And did you get a patent on the mixture?
So once I'd kind of decided what ingredients we wanted to go into the product, it was then I worked with manufacturers who had the experience. So we spoke to over 25 different manufacturers until we found one that we felt could develop the range in the way that we wanted to, and that could have the exact ingredients that we wanted to put into the products and the exact amounts that we wanted to put into them. And then we allowed their experts to do most of the chemical side in terms of keeping it natural, but keeping it safe as well, making that safe for mass consumption, and that the products and the ingredients are all natural. To be honest, I wasn't mixing them in a bowl. Because I wanted to reach as many Black men as possible, and with all of the regulations that we have in the UK, if you're launching a product to mass market, I wanted to work with the professionals. So we had them to help us with the formulation side.
So it is manufactured and produced in the UK?
Yeah.
And do you sell to the United States?
Yeah, so we've recently started selling to the United States. So we found that so at the moment we have around 40,000 followers on our Instagram, and about 50% of those was coming from the US. So, I was already kind of conscious that the men in the US were facing the same issues that the men in the UK were facing. And I've had men from France and Germany all reach out to us saying the exact same thing, is that they're trying to find products for their beards and their grooming, but there aren't really anything there that's targeted towards Black men and Black men's hair. So we do serve the US market as well. We've recently set up our fulfillment center out there. So one of the barriers that we had originally was that we was getting so many black men from the US that wanted to buy from us, but the shipping fees involved were really expensive. So now we've set up a small distribution center in the US so that we can start to cater to those men that want to buy.
And where's your fulfillment center at in the US?
Is on the east side. I've forgotten the exact state that it's in. Spoke to a number of fulfillment centers, and I really wanted it to be on the east side because that's where primary black men are. Can't remember the
Like
exact.
the East Coast, like New York?
Yeah, it's along the east coast. It's next to one of the airports. I think it may be. I don't want to guess. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know that it's on the east coast that we're set up.
Okay, thank you for that. What can we do right now, Aaron, to support your business?
To me, I think that it's not necessarily about supporting the business. I look at it more of a case of we are supporting our customers because we have created something that is top quality, natural, and has been designed with you in mind. So it's been designed with the issues that you're facing in mind. So essentially, we are offering a solution and a quality solution at that to your grooming needs. So it's not just about purchase from us to support us, which is great. It's also about we've created something amazing for you. So come and shop with us. That's the message I would say.
There are so many brands and businesses that are dominating. Talk about a brand or a business that's dominating that you admire and why.
A brand that's dominating that I admire. A brand that I admire would probably be Tesla. I do really admire Tesla because they are a revolutionary company. They are changing the habits and behaviors of people. They are transitioning the world from gas cars to electric vehicles. And we've always been told that electric vehicles are not viable and it's impossible and it's never going to work. But they are breaking through those barriers and they are really kind of changing the world and moving the world to a more eco-friendly style of travel, which is going to be much better for the environment. And in terms of innovation, the whole self-driving car is stuff that we used to look at and be like, wow, like one day we'll have cars that drive themselves. And it's like, they're almost here now. So I really love the vision and the execution and how they've built a really strong brand, and they've again solved the problem, and they've solved it with such a quality offering that they've been able to attract really loyal followers to their mission, to their cause. So it's more than just a brand. And I think that's, when I look at it as a businessman and I look at it from the marketing perspective, from their vision perspective, from the innovative perspective, they kind of tick all of my boxes to a really creative business. So yeah, they are one that I do admire at the moment.
Aaron, you talked about raising capital and investors for your company by Aaron Wallace. Tell us about how did you raise the money to start the business?
In the very early stages, so when I was running a Sheer and Shine, I raised the money through literally just through savings, just saving I was living extremely below my means by just keeping all of my costs as low as possible and saving every month. And I sold my car and I got a small loan from the bank for like £6,000. And that was kind of how I got the initial wheels turning to build the kind of proof of concept, which was Sheer and Shine, to get that website and get those products to market. So in the early stages, it was savings, selling the car, and a small loan. And then when we rebranded, or we was able to get investors, it was just through angel investors. So we was fortunate enough to be introduced to some investors who were also looking for some brands that they could invest in. And they were kind of new investors themselves as well. And we just decided to go on the journey together. So it was, we didn't go through the traditional routes of seed funding and capital and Series A, Series B. It was more of an introduction to some investors, and we took it from there.
Talk about your business and COVID-19.
It's been interesting. So prior to COVID, we was actually working with a lot of barbershops. So I wanted our products to be in front of course, black men. And whereas I thought that, it makes sense for us to be in barbershop because barbershops are going to be, 99.9% our demographic, our target demographic. So before the virus, we was working with a lot of barbershops, getting ourselves stocked in a lot of barbershops. And obviously that came to a screeching halt. So since then, we've moved all of our attention to online, and luckily it's been okay. I mean, in the very first few weeks, it was very rocky and very uncertain. No one really knew what was going to happen. But yeah, we've been okay because we've been selling online and obviously people are at home. So I think online sales in general across the board have been pretty healthy. So yeah, we've been okay on that front.
Advice you wish you had followed?
To be honest, I wish I'd followed my own advice, which was just to start sooner, because I've always wanted to get my business off the ground and get it going. And I've always just procrastinated, put it off, or been too worried or too scared about what may happen or what might have not happened, and fear of failure. So it's one of those things that I've always put off. And yeah, I would say to start sooner and to not be afraid to kind of just go for it all in. So yeah, I think that just going for something all in and just waking up one day and saying, "Do you know what, I'm going to put all of my time and all in my energy and effort into making sure that this is a success." That was the big game changer in terms of direction for myself.
What was that aha moment that you knew that by Aaron Wallace was going to be successful?
So I always knew that there was a need, to be honest, because I was working as a barber and because I was speaking with black men directly every day. So I always knew that there was a gap and that this was an underserved market. And I also saw the trend of beards coming in, and I saw that a lot of men were becoming a lot more conscious about their beards and how they groom their beards, and becoming more conscious of their beards then made them more conscious of their hair in general and their health of their hair in general. So in my gut, I always felt that there was a huge opportunity here. But I would say the aha moment probably was when we had customers start to reach out from France and Germany and Ghana and all of these other people who were also facing the exact same issues. That was when it was like, oh wow, there is actually huge scope for this, because there are so many men out there that need products like ours.
Aaron, who are your top 2 influencers and what lessons did they teach you?
My top 2 influencers, one would be Marcus Garvey, because I resonate with one, he was Jamaican like myself. 2, he was all about Black empowerment and building wealth among the Black community. And he was an entrepreneur himself. So those are things that I really admired in Marcus Garvey. And the other would be Marcus Aurelius, and he was a Greek philosopher. He was a Greek emperor, actually. And he's influenced because I kind of got into the philosophy of Stoicism. And Stoicism is essentially a philosophy, it's a lifestyle philosophy. And essentially it teaches that there are things that are within your control and there are things that are outside of your control. And the only thing in life that you have 100% control over is yourself. So you only have control over your own emotions and your own reactions to things. And it also teaches that we have the ability to choose how we feel about something. So, for example, the exact same event could happen to 2 different people, and those 2 different people react to that event in completely different ways. The only factor that's changed is how that person perceives the event. So if you perceive that event in a negative way, you react badly. If you perceive that exact same event in a positive way, you have a different reaction. However, it's it's internal that decides how to react to that event. And that that was like a whole paradigm shift for me. So yeah, so Marcus Garvey and Marcus Aurelius.
What problem exists in the world today that you would like to solve, Aaron?
For me, I think that we are focused on, at this moment in time, I'm focused on the problem that we're currently solving, which is the grooming needs of Black men. So I would like for Aaron Wallace to eventually become like the first point of call for Black men when it comes to anything to do with their hair or their skin or their grooming or their health in general. So that's the main problem that I'm kind of focused on. I know there are so many problems in the world that need to be addressed, but I'm trying to focus on that problem in particular.
What's next for Aaron Wallace?
Next, we are looking at our skincare range. So we're planning to launch our skincare range next year. For most of my customers that I had, the first question was always, if someone was trying, the two main questions that I always got was, how do I grow a beard for people who was trying to grow? And for people who shaved, the second biggest question was, I've got ingrown hairs. What do I do about my ingrown hairs? So Black men are very, very, very susceptible to ingrown hairs. So we want to work on a skincare range, which is a quality, natural, premium quality skincare range, but also addresses the issues of ingrown hairs and supports healthier looking skin for Black men.
What are you reading right now and why?
I'm not reading anything at the moment, only because I've been super, super busy. The last book I was currently reading was a book called Thinking Fast and Slow, and it was just about how the mind works, how the mind processes information, and how the mind reaches decisions. It really fascinates me how our minds work, because essentially your mind is who you are. So everything else, we all have two arms, we all have two legs, we all have the exact same components that make up everything else. The only unique thing about us that is truly, truly unique is our minds, because no one else has the exact same mind as you. So I'm fascinated about how the mind works. So Thinking Fast and Slow. I've forgotten the name of the author, but that was the most recent book I was reading. I'm also trying to improve my memory, so it's good for that as well.
What keeps you up at night, if anything?
Nothing keeps me up at night. The main thing that keeps me up at night is when my mind doesn't want to sleep. So my mind is just thinking, it's just ticking away. It's just thinking about what I need to do the next day, or what I want to do for the business next year, or it's just working. It's just ticking, 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 thinking of ideas. And so often I will be in a sleep or like zombie state, and my mind will just have an idea and it will wake me up, and I'll just have to write it down there and then in my phone, and it's always working. So sometimes that doesn't allow me to sleep. I find it difficult to sometimes switch off, but it's a good thing, I guess. It helps.
Talk about self-care. What does self-care looks like for Aaron?
Self-care for me there's two parts of it. So you have the internal and you have the external. And then you have the mental as well, actually, to be fair. So the internal would be what you're putting into your body. So your diet, what are you eating? Are you eating healthy food? Are you keeping hydrated? Are you drinking enough water? Body working and functioning. Then you have the external, which is, how you groom yourself and how you present yourself to the world. And when you feel good internally and feel good externally, then you present your best self to the world and you feel your best. But none of those two factors really mean anything until you've got the third, which is the mind. So, and your mind is definitely the most important aspect of self-care. So for me, I practice meditation as often as I can, and meditation so that it keeps your mind in a calm state, or in whatever state that you want to be in, to be honest. And it helps you to kind of cope with with whatever factors, whatever's on your mind, whatever stresses are on your mind at the time. So your mental state, keeping your life, I always say keeping your life stress-free, to be honest. So if you have lots of stresses in your life and lots of things that are negatively impacting your mind, then it's going to be difficult to even address the internal and the external. So it's the mental, internal, external.
What is the biggest achievement so far in your business?
For me, the biggest achievement is taking something from a concept to a reality. So I had the idea, I knew that there was a need for it, but taking it from an idea to building a team to having visual concepts to then creating an actual product that is now being well received. I would say the biggest accomplishment is one, creating the product in the first place, and two, the feedback that I get from customers. Like when customers come back and the feedback is like, this is amazing, like this is really helping my beard, this is a fantastic product. Those two things I would say are the biggest achievements.
Let's switch gears for a moment. Talk about the worst moment in business and what was your takeaway?
To be fair, I don't dwell on the worst moments. Like I think when you're running a business, every day is, especially in the early stages, every day is a roller coaster. So you have really high days where everything is going amazing and you feel like, yes, like this is it. And then you have really low days where it's like, what am I doing? Should I just go and just get a job and just call it a day? So you have all of those days, but I kind of, and this is where the stoic philosophy comes in, is that I expect there to be up days and I expect there to be down days. I understand that not every day is going to be amazing. I'm conscious that there's going to be hurdles. So that's not to say I don't get stressed out in the moment, because I do, but it's not something that I allow to ever dwell on my mind for longer than that day. And I try to always stay as solution focused as possible. So I find it difficult to sometimes look back and dig back into what was my worst days and like to what negatively impacted me. Because to be honest, I kind of chuck those days out of my memory and just focus on moving forward.
Talk to a younger Aaron. What advice would you give to a younger you?
I would say, one, stop procrastinating and just focus on, because to get to where you want to get to is a long journey. And it's like, we always have those times where we're like, I always wanted to play the guitar or play the piano. If I had actually started playing the piano back when I first said it, I would probably be a master at the piano by now. So it's the same with business. A lot of the time it's like, until you start, you have to kind of put the shovel in the ground and start and dedicate yourself and say, do you know what? I'm going to eliminate distractions and just focus. So that would probably be my first message to my younger self. And then I would say, don't be embarrassed to not be interested in the things that everyone else is interested in. So like I was never really that into football like all my friends were. Like a lot of my friends were into football. A lot of my friends were into, like miscellaneous things. Like a lot of friends were living different lifestyles that you kind of can often get pulled into. But I was always into like more science and kind of quote unquote nerdy stuff. And it was something that I would kind of be a bit reserved about. Whereas now, I don't like, this is what I'm more, I give less, I don't really care about what other people's opinions is. So I would always say, yeah, just do you and focus. Do you and focus. Do you and focus would be my two messages to my younger self.
Aaron, talk about the early stages of developing the product. And someone is listening to this interview and they have a product they want to bring to market. And they're thinking about the idea, if someone's going to take their idea about patent, getting scientists involved, and all of the things. Tell us, how did you navigate through that?
I think In the early stages, I was very nervous about people taking the idea and stuff like that. But you also have to think ideas are free, like everyone has ideas. But what's key is execution. And if you have an idea that you've done your research on and that you are the best place or that you feel you're the best place to provide this solution, then it's very difficult for someone to just come along and take your idea. If you're a fantastic hairdresser and you've invented a new type of hair roller that is really innovative and changing, then it's very difficult for just any and anybody to come along and take your idea. That being said, if in that kind of circumstance, if you've got like patentable idea, then of course the first thing you want to do is make sure that you own that patent. Speak to a patent agency and see if the idea is patentable, because not everything can be protected in that sense. So sometimes it is going to come down to, sometimes you are able to protect it with a patent. Sometimes it's going to come down to how you execute and how you build your brand, because not anyone can just be a Tom Ford, if that makes sense. Tom Ford is Tom Ford. And Tom Ford is Tom Ford because he, worked at Gucci and was a fashion designer and blah, 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 and then launched his aftershaves and blah. Like, it's not easy to just replicate. And a lot of the times, sometimes people will let the fear of someone stealing their idea stop them from actually executing on the idea in the first place. Whereas what you want to do is execute on the idea so well that even if someone was to try and copy your idea, they will blatantly be seen as cheaper version, like they will be seen as a knockoff of your brand, if that makes sense. So that's primarily you want to if you can't protect it with a patent, you want to focus on positioning, becoming an expert in your field.
What is a technology tool and a technology platform that is a must-have for you in managing your business day to day?
Well, I would say your Instagram and your Facebook page are two must-haves. So you need to have your Instagram so that you can build an audience and you can connect with your audience so that your audience will understand what you're about. You need to have your Facebook page so that you can connect. Again, same thing, reach out and target your audience. You obviously need to have your website. I'm not sure, do you mean like a specific tool, like a specific operating tool?
Either or, it could be a social media platform or a technology platform or app or whatever you deem is the most essential for managing your business.
I would say I take a more holistic approach. So everything kind of works together. So you need to spend a lot of time developing your website and making sure that the functionality of your website is up to high standard and does what it needs to do. But then that doesn't that's all good, but that's useless if you don't have traffic that you're driving to the website. And in order to get traffic that you're driving to the website, you then need to have, a social presence. You need to have your Instagram. You need to be connecting with your audience. And then you need your Facebook page. You need to be connecting with your audience that are not on Instagram. You need to be working on your SEO so that the people who have never seen your Instagram or your Facebook that are looking for something that you offer, when they type it into Google, you want to be popping up there as well. So, and then the way that you do that is by making sure that the SEO on your website is in line with what you're selling, and working with other websites and high ranking domain websites so that Google will see your site as an authority site. And when people type it in, they will start to show your page. So everything kind of works in tandem together. So I don't really have like one key piece that I favor above anything else.
Are you managing your social media pages or do you have a social media manager?
So my co-founder, Lena Gardi, she's our CMO. So she's our chief marketing officer. She manages our social pages and she's done a fantastic job of like really getting the brand out there and connecting with our audience and drawing Black men into our gravitational pull, so to speak. and she's really good at reaching out with influencers, and she's built up our range of brand ambassadors as well. And our brand ambassadors, we have 25 brand ambassadors, and combined they have a social reach of about 300,000. So when they're all posting on their networks as well, that helps to expand the range as well. So yeah, so we do social media primarily in-house at the moment. May change, but yeah.
Aaron, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
That's a good question. Never been asked that before. I would have asked myself, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. You've done a great job.
Thank you. And I did not pay Aaron to say that. We've come to our part of our interview called Fun Facts Lightning Round. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
I'm ready. Let's go.
The last movie you saw?
The last movie I saw in the cinema. Oh, sorry, lightning round. Last movie I saw, Coming to America.
You relax doing what?
Listening to music.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Michael Jackson.
Your favorite dance song?
Don't have one.
Your first job?
My first job was working in River Island clothing shop.
Work out or hit the couch?
Workout. What do I need to do more?
What food you eat every week no matter what?
Chicken, broccoli.
Your favorite month?
Don't have one.
Aaron, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, why don't you share with our audience the best way they can reach you and to do business with your company?
So you can reach us at byaaronwallace.com. So it's BY and then aaronwallace.com. And you can find us on all of our social medias at byaaronwallace.com.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.